Let's talk man to man about the thoughts she has that she'll never say out loud. The fantasies running through her mind might make you question everything you think you know about women. I'm about to reveal some insights into female psychology that might make you uncomfortable. But if you truly want to understand women, you need to know these 3 deep-seated fantasies that she would never admit to you. And before you dismiss this as some pickup artist nonsense, let me be clear. I'm talking about universal human psychology, the primal drives that civilization has tried to polish away but never quite succeeded in erasing. Fantasy number 1. The dangerous man who chooses her. Here's something that'll blow your mind. She fantasizes about the man who could destroy her but chooses not to, not because he's weak or afraid, but because she's earned his restraint through her worth. Let me break this down because most guys get this completely wrong. You think she wants the nice guy, the safe choice, the man who brings her flowers and opens doors and never raises his voice? Wrong. Dead wrong. She wants the man who could be dangerous but chooses to be gentle with her specifically. There's a massive difference between a man who can't hurt a fly and a man who could crush his enemies but treats his woman like precious cargo. One screams weakness, the other whispers power under control. I learned this the hard way in my early 20s. I was dating this incredible woman, smart, successful, gorgeous, and I was trying so hard to be the perfect boyfriend. Always agreeable, never controversial, constantly seeking her approval. You know what happened? She got bored and left me for a guy who rode motorcycles and had been in actual fights. At first I was bitter. She left me for some dangerous guy, but then I started paying attention. This wasn't some abusive relationship. This guy was protective, decisive, and yes, he had an edge. But with her, he was tender and attentive. He'd literally fight someone who disrespected her, then come home and brush her hair. She didn't want danger for the sake of danger. She wanted to feel like she was special enough to tame the untamable. That out of all the women in the world, this powerful man chose her as worthy of his gentleness. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. For thousands of years, women needed protectors who could handle threats but wouldn't turn that aggression on them. They needed to know their man could defend the tribe but would never harm the family. That programming doesn't just disappear because we live in suburbs now. She fantasizes about that moment when you're dealing with some situation. Maybe a guy hitting on her, maybe someone being rude to the waiter. And she sees that flash in your eyes, that split second where she realizes you're capable of real violence but you're choosing a different path. That's when her attraction goes through the roof. But here's the key. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to be dangerous. True power comes from actual competence, actual strength, actual willingness to stand up for what matters. It comes from knowing you could handle business if you had to, but choosing wisdom over warfare whenever possible. Fantasy number 2, being completely dominated by someone who worships her. All right, we're going into deep waters here. This next fantasy is going to challenge everything modern society tells us about gender roles and relationships. But I'm going to give it to you straight because understanding this will revolutionize how you see female desire. She fantasizes about complete surrender, but only to a man who sees her as a goddess. Now, before you start thinking this is about abuse or disrespect, pump the brakes. This is the opposite of that. This is about a woman being so valued, so cherished, so completely adored that she feels safe enough to let go of control entirely. Think about it. In her daily life, she's making decisions constantly. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to that email, whether to take that job, how to handle her family drama. She's managing her career, her relationships, her health, her finances. The modern woman carries an enormous mental load. But in her deepest fantasy, there's a man who takes all that weight off her shoulders. Not because he thinks she's incapable, but because he wants to give her the gift of not having to think about anything except being present with him. I had a female friend explain this to me once in a way that completely shifted my perspective. She said, "I spend all day being strong, being competent, being in charge. Sometimes I just want to be with someone who's so clearly in control that I can finally relax." But here's the crucial part, and this is where most guys screw it up. She only wants to surrender control to someone who's completely obsessed with her pleasure, her happiness, her well-being. The fantasy isn't about being dominated by someone who doesn't care about her. It's about being dominated by someone who cares about her more than she cares about herself. It's like this. Imagine you're completely exhausted after a brutal week at work. You come home, and someone who loves you has prepared your favorite meal, drawn you a bath, queued up your favorite movie, and they won't let you lift a finger all evening. They're in complete control of the experience, but the entire purpose is your comfort and joy. That's the psychological dynamic she's craving, but amplified into every aspect of the relationship. Fantasy number 3. The man who doesn't need her but chooses her anyway. The fantasy that cuts deepest into female psychology is the one that explains more about women than 1,000 dating advice articles. She dreams about the man who has everything: success, options, complete self-sufficiency, but who still chooses her, not because he needs her, but because he genuinely wants to share his abundant life with her. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in her mind. He's got his career dialed in, his finances are solid, he's got hobbies he's passionate about, friendships that fulfill him, and a living space that reflects his personality. He's traveled, he's grown, he's become the kind of man who could be perfectly content alone. Other women are interested in him. Good women, attractive women, accomplished women. He has options. And yet, out of all the paths he could choose, he keeps choosing her. Not because she completes him or fixes something broken in his life, but because she adds something beautiful to an already beautiful existence. This is the complete opposite of neediness, and women can smell the difference from a mile away. I see so many guys make this mistake. They think showing a woman how much they need her is romantic. I can't live without you. You're my everything. I was nothing before I met you. They think this is what love sounds like, but here's what she actually hears. I'm incomplete. I'm desperate. I'm going to cling to you because I don't have anything else going on in my life. That's not attractive. That's terrifying. Because now she's not just responsible for her own happiness, she's responsible for yours too. The pressure is enormous. But the man who doesn't need her, that's intoxicating. Because everything he does for her, every moment he spends with her, every way he prioritizes her, it's all choice. Pure choice. Think about the difference between a gift given out of obligation and a gift given out of genuine desire to make someone happy. She can feel that difference in everything you do. When you take her to dinner, is it because you're supposed to, or because you genuinely enjoy her company and want to create a beautiful experience together? When you listen to her talk about her day, is it because that's what boyfriends do, or because you're genuinely interested in her thoughts and experiences? When you show her affection, is it because you need validation, or because you're overflowing with appreciation for who she is? She fantasizes about being with a man who's so complete in himself that his love for her feels like a gift rather than a transaction. She wants to feel chosen, not needed, selected, not settled for. She wants to feel like she's not filling a hole in your life. She's adding gold to an already rich existence. This fantasy goes beyond just romance. She wants to feel like she's chosen by life itself. Like out of all the ways the universe could have arranged itself, it chose to put her in the path of a man who didn't need saving but wanted her along for the adventure. Anyway, so there you have it. 3 fantasies she'll never admit to because they go against everything we're supposed to believe about modern relationships. But understanding these isn't about manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally fulfills these deep psychological needs. Be dangerous but controlled, be dominant but devoted, be complete but choosing. And if you found this helpful, you know what to do. Subscribe for more truth about attraction, psychology, and becoming the man you're capable of being. So here's what I want from you. Comment truth if you've seen evidence of this in real life, or nonsense if you think this is complete nonsense. Ladies, if you're watching, and I know you are, you can comment anonymously. Does this resonate, or am I way off base? The comment section is about to get very interesting.